because I'm actually working on this in my own work of like, how do I own more of my positive qualities? My analyst was saying, we were talking about somebody and I was admirous of them. And she said, well, they have some healthy narcissism. And I thought, healthy narcissism? Like, how can you have healthy narcissism? And that might be another topic to go into, but it blew my mind that like, because I've been so habituated out of thinking highly of myself.
Hi, I'm Katie.
And I'm Diane.
15 years ago, we met in rehab.
And we've been besties ever since.
We've both worked hard at healing our addictions.
And we've gone on to build meaningful lives.
I'm a licensed therapist and a yoga instructor.
And I'm an embodiment coach and tantra healer.
When we get together, our conversations can get intense.
But they're always lively and full of surprises.
Yes! And no topic is off limits.
And that's our show.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode, which is all about the golden shadow.
The golden shadow.
Yeah.
What is the golden shadow? Well, first, let's backpedal a little bit. You may have heard about shadow, the shadow work, which is really, it's the struggle to own what is unconscious that we're maybe not so proud of or more uncomfortable with, the unconscious parts or the kind of sensed parts that are really showing up in our lives. They're part of who we are, but we resist identifying with them because what it might say about us, what it might mean about us. If I own that I'm jealous, angry, insecure, resentful, fill in the blank, what does that mean about me? And so it's pushing it away, but the challenge in that is that if we're not owning it, making peace with it, it's probably still controlling our lives and showing up in all kinds of ways, as opposed to when we become compassionate and let there be loving awareness of it, it no longer has that same grip and hold on us. So Katie, a little more maybe?
That's right, yeah, that's exactly right. And so the golden shadow is really just, as Carl Jung would say, it's our submerged creative potential. So it's everything that we're not quite aware of, but that we have in us, which is why when we look at people we admire, it can often be seen as a projection, because really you might be projecting some of your positive qualities onto somebody, and they get the glow. But really, if you can pull those back and own them, you can feel more empowered in your life.
Yeah, it's this idea of, who you pedestalize probably reflects a lot about you because they have that charge. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I know for an example for me would be, it's, I've looked up to you forever. Katie's got her master's in psychology and I don't, but I've always loved all things psychology and introspective healing, etc. And it took me a long time to own that about myself. It still is. This is a vulnerable episode to film because that part of me that's like, oh, what does it say about me if I say I'm great at this? Or I'm really good. I don't even want to say I'm really great at this. I'm good. Even there was a qualifier. So the part of me that wanted for so long, looked up to Katie, wanted that for myself, but felt, I couldn't become a healer or move into that space because I haven't done X, Y, Z. I haven't finished my undergrad, let alone gotten a master's. So therefore I don't have value to bring, even though the reality is, this is who I am, and I've been doing this work since childhood. I have a lot of value to bring. Stepping into doing this show has been really intimidating because it's like, well, Katie has these qualifications and she's been in practice so much longer, so what could I have to say? And then as we're watching these episodes back, I'm like, I have some things to share.
Yeah.
And I have moved into the healing space. I am a coach and I am a healer. I work in somatics and in tantra, and I love that. And I'm really supporting other people in their growth and coming home to themselves and wholeness through the unique qualities that I bring. And it's been a process of learning to own that and be like, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
I am good at this. And even, as we were speaking into this episode, realizing, I have envy and struggle and really admire strong and secure people who own their positive qualities and are like, this is what I'm really good at, period. Without qualifying it, without dismissing it, without apologizing. because it's been hard for me to do, because heaven forbid I'm a have too much bravado or
seem
big
inflated.
head and and people are like, ugh, because I don't, so that's my side of it. What about for you?
Yeah, that's such a great point what you just said, because I know in my family it was always like, oh, they think their crap don't stink. And I got the message of like, don't ever be too big for your britches. Don't ever be too full of yourself. Being full of yourself or being, is bad. And so you get all this messaging around it, and it then can become, for me, it's become very hard to own any of the positive qualities.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It just occurred to me, you and I have similar childhoods of having felt invisible and learning not to take up too much space.
Yeah.
So owning these qualities, taking up space, our rightful space in these beautiful ways that we kind of weren't acknowledged or validated for when we were little. It probably plays into it, as most things do. That's interesting.
It
is.
Really
interesting. Yeah.
It is, and it's interesting also how we can dismiss our positive qualities. Like Diane, okay, you don't have the degree, but she has like 17,000 trainings, number one. You've read 17,000 books. And we have conversations all the time. Like, to me, if you can't converse on a deep level with somebody, that's maybe an indicator that they can't go there with you. But she's always been able to go there with me. So I don't see her that way. And so her positive, attributes are conscious for me, but maybe have been in the past unconscious for her. And now she's kind of stepped much more into realizing, oh, yeah, this is who I am.
Well, yeah, and it makes me think of, has anybody ever said to you, if only you could see the way I see you, if only you could see you the way we see you, like you have all these gifts, and then being in that maybe self-deflect over the rejection,
Yeah, that's a perfect point. It's like, what is that about? Because I'm actually working on this in my own work of like, how do I own more of my positive qualities? My analyst was saying, we were talking about somebody and I was admirous of them. And she said, well, they have some healthy narcissism. And I thought, healthy narcissism? Like, how can you have healthy narcissism? And that might be another topic to go into, but it blew my mind that because I've been so habituated out of thinking highly of myself. And I get that, people, parents, old school stuff, that mentality was different. There was a lot more muting, pressing down. And I think it is important that we don't become completely inflated, but we're not talking about owning stuff that is not ours to own. We're actually talking about the things that are true about us. And for me, like, I get scared sometimes. Like, if someone, it's hard if someone says, like, you're beautiful. All I can think is like, no, I'm not. Or, well, that's because I do all the things, the Botox and all the things. Or it's because I'm wearing makeup. Or this is going to fade. It's not, so just no, I'm not. No. But then somewhere it's like, I'm posting a picture like, I hope someone says I'm beautiful. It's so, because I can't own it. Well, you can see we've had a little cut because now I have a cat on my lap and the angle might be a little bit different. Hello. But we're back. I was just saying that positive qualities can be hard to own. And so sometimes we project them out there and we hope someone else will tell us that because we can't own it. And it's really important to own it. And so what are the benefits of...
Oh, that's interesting. That makes me think of the hurt I feel. There's somebody I was dating who never would say that I was pretty or sexy or whatnot. And I'm like, maybe I needed to tell myself, you're so pretty, you're sexy, and just own it.
Yeah.
Like, please give me this. It's like, if you're aching or longing to hear something, what if you maybe told yourself those things? So that goes into, what are the benefits of owning your golden shadow? Besides possibly meeting your own needs and telling yourself what you're needing to hear.
Yes. Well, one thing is just that it creates wholeness, right? And it's actually being more in reality if we if we can learn to see that we're whole people, we're not only the dark stuff and we're not only the good stuff, we're all of it. But the more you can own what is beautiful in you, the more you can, I think, shine that light out and give it to the world, and also to feel happier and increase your own self-esteem. And, it's important. I remember when I was first in recovery, I'd walk down the street, and this was me doing affirmations. I'd have my phone open so that people didn't think I was crazy. And I'd be walking to my restaurant job. This was right when I first got into recovery from my bulimia, and I would walk and I'd be like, okay, Katie, you got this. Like, that food there at the restaurant is not for you, and you're a great person and you're beautiful. And I would tell myself all of that. Now, some of it worked, some of it didn't, and you have to do the deeper work in order to actually make that change. But it worked a lot of the time. It helped me recenter and get into myself more.
I love that. Yeah, it's like, at first I was thinking, when you own your golden shadow, you dissipate the resentments of what you don't have or you're not getting. But you also dissipate the pedestalizing. And whether you're in resentment or you're pedestalizing or you're in jealousy or or you're looking outward like, oh, they're the most amazing, you're giving your power away. And so when you can own these qualities, the darker shadows or the golden shadow, the light, you're actually bringing that power back home to yourself, and you get to become empowered instead of a victim. You're no longer in self-victimizing. And, also it's in asking ourselves, what are these traits, owning these qualities, it creates spaciousness and permission to really step into one's most aligned life. Once I really took ownership of my gifts and my capacity to be a healer and bring value in that way and started stepping into that, my life became more aligned and more expansive with what I really wanted to be doing, more meaningful.
Yeah, and I think the higher self, capital S self, wants us to own more of ourself.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason you're here with your own unique gifts, and those are meant to be manifest. And there's so many blockages and things that get in our way, but those gifts are so important. I really believe us sharing our gifts is what changes the world. But first we have to know we have gifts and that we have to be able to own those gifts. So as hard as that might be, I would really encourage you to try to find what your positive qualities are and actually sit with them. And, one of the things we had talked about before filming was just, what's hard about, what are the challenges to owning.
Yeah, well, and what came up for me in that was sort of what I was saying. It's like, on one hand, by starting to own my positive qualities and say, well, yeah, and recognize and take ownership of, yeah, I do bring value. I do have gifts to offer the world and really nurture and support people. But with that comes a responsibility, a call to action to do that, to be in service, to show up, to take up more space. And now that it's become conscious and becoming aware of it, if I'm not doing that, I'm going to cyclically suffer. Meaning I'm gonna toil in that of knowing there's more, feeling like, oh, I feel called to this, but I'm now in my unlived life knowingly, and that's painful, which kind of comes back to choosing your heart, which is, it's painful and difficult to move into the unfamiliar and taking up space. And, that's a future episode that we have of choosing your heart. But, it's that now I have these gifts, and well, what am I going to do with them? Am I going to step into my golden light as opposed to keeping it in the shadow? Or am I going to continue to hide and play small and suffer in that way?
That's right. That's a really good point. Oh, I got cat hair in my lip gloss. It's such a good point. And I think also, what was I going to say? Just that, when we do this work and when we own who we are in our fullness, it does mean, or it can mean, taking on more responsibility and taking on more risk. Because if I own more of who I am, I am risking that someone else will come and smush my dreams or stomp on me or say, oh, you're not that, Katie, or you're, think about people in the comments when you're someone who's a public figure, people cancel culture and all this stuff, people rip one another down. But it's more about, can we bear the responsibility of shining our light anyway? And even if we don't know how yet, can we be willing to be willing?
Yeah, well, and that's a great point, because it comes back to trusting that I can hold on to myself, even if other people disagree. I know for a big part for me in showing up for this show or stepping into becoming a somatic practitioner and tantric healer, it was like, well, I'm risking finding out, what if maybe I'm not so good at this? I got to find out that really I am, but my whole life I'd held on to feeling called to it. But what if I find out? Or, I struggle to, own being a beautiful woman. And even as I say that, I wince. It's like, it's hard for me to share selfies or to receive compliments. But at the same time, I enjoy playing in beauty, receiving compliments. And it's like, well, if I post a selfie, or what if somebody does think I'm vain? What if, or vapid or shallow, or says, or rips into, we put this show out there and people start pointing out flaws and criticizing things that I hadn't even criticized in myself yet. That's scary.
And we criticize a lot.
Yeah, but also believing and bringing into light that we've got value to bring, and we're going to risk stepping out there and bringing it. Hopefully there's things that resonate and relate and will help somebody to be in service in that way. And that's the gift of owning these qualities. We get to create a meaningful life, and we hopefully get to support other people too.
That's right. And what you just said about owning your beauty, I just want to say it's funny, because we do talk a lot about owning the shadow, and I think most of our work, we do need a lot of work doing that. And I would like to say, I'm going to own one of my shadow qualities. I'm vain. I appreciate beauty. I want to look as best as I can. I want that from the inside and the outside. And it's so much more empowering. So I agree with what Diane said. Like, there's more. What were you going to say?
That reminds me of something. My teacher, Aaron Kleineman, he's amazing. One of my teachers, he is like, what's really empowering is if somebody comes to you and is like, you know what? You're selfish. You're vain. You're this. And it's like, you can just look at them right in the face and be like, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're in your power. Like, yeah, you're right. And you completely diffuse the situation, because I'm comfortable enough with myself and my wholeness that, there's parts of me that are selfish. There's parts of me that are vain. And guess what? It's okay.
I love, this is such a great place.
I love that.
I think to end. And it's I love what you said, because yes. It's like, we are all humans. We're all whole. We're not perfect. There is no perfect. Perfect goes against creation. So let's all get comfortable with owning who we are, and then we just try and work to be better.
Yeah. So my suggestions, tips, tools, what would I offer to you? Start paying attention to the things that have charge for you, and where is that maybe speaking into parts of yourself that you don't want to name and claim. And what if you did? What if you started to take up space in that way, just noticing, okay, there's aliveness here for me. What if I were to start dialoguing with that, integrating it, observing it, accepting, getting compassionately curious. And it's like, where am I still playing small, and how might my life change if I stepped in and took more ownership of that? And then with that, what's been amazing is, these things that I've, sensed or been quietly proud of in myself as I've taken more ownership. It's like, I'm building, even reinforcing, like, I am skilled in this way, or I do have value to bring, or I am a beautiful woman, and it's all okay. And so it's like, I was thinking of the quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. And it's like, my invitation would be the you wish to see in the world.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that too. I love that too. I think for tools, something I would offer is just to begin to look at the people you admire and see why you admire them, and risk accepting or imagining that some of those qualities are also in you, and they're just asking to be developed.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the parts of us that are saying, please meet me.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here, we have needs, and we want to live.
Yeah.
So don't just put the jealousy and those feelings down. Look at what it might mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want to see you share it, like show up for us. Tell us about your great qualities. We want to hear them. Start owning.
Brag.
Yeah. Let's hear your brags.
Let's hear your brag about yourself below. That should be the comments for today.
Let us champion and see you.
Yes.
So thanks for tuning in.
Thank
Till
you.
next time.